For Adrianna Edwards, her latest shift at Denny's appeared to be just like any other. She'd finished up serving a man and woman their breakfast, handing the latter a little extra ice cream. So Adrianna couldn't have predicted what happened next, as this simple interaction led to a life-changing moment. As far as surprises go, this one is bound to be up there with the very best. It's a real doozy. And in truth, Adrianna was probably in need of a lift at the time. You see, while she was happy enough with her waitressing job at the restaurant, she had to overcome plenty of challenges just to make it to those shifts. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. A resident of Galveston, Texas, Adrianna lived around 7 miles away from her place of employment. That isn't all too bad in all honesty. Lots of people have to travel further than that to do their jobs. Yet here's where things got tricky for the waitress. The daily commute was far from easy. As Adrianna didn't own a vehicle, she had to make the journey on foot. So yes, that meant the Denny's employee was racking up 14 miles of walking for each shift. Holy smokes! Now, if you were to look on the bright side of things, there were some positives that came with the exercise. For instance, Adrianna's fitness levels would have been through the roof. Plus, as noted by the website Spotlight, the waitress managed to shed roughly 25 pounds in weight as a result. But even if the walking was making her healthier, you have to consider the cost as well. To cover the 7 miles, Adrianna had to give herself at least 2 hours for the walk. That meant getting out of bed a lot earlier than was a must. Then she'd be standing up for most of the day at Denny's, and for the return trip, the Galveston resident knew that she wouldn't be back at her house until much too late. Sounds exhausting, right? We wouldn't blame Adrianna if she found herself struggling with that routine. Mind you, the waitress was pretty frank about her situation while speaking to ABC 13 in November 2019. She said, "I have bills to pay, I gotta eat, you gotta do what you gotta do." Then again, that isn't the only reason why Adrianna persevered with her grueling work schedule. You see, she had a couple of important names that couldn't be achieved without a steady cash flow to call upon. What were they? Well, her first goal was relatively simple: earn enough to purchase a vehicle. After that, Adrianna planned to use more of her savings to help pay for higher education at university. Nope, she didn't intend on working at Denny's for the rest of her life. But until those goals were reached, the restaurant employee was more than willing to stick it out. Pretty admirable, wouldn't you say? Anyway, let's head back to that fateful day we touched upon earlier. Following another 7-mile trek to Denny's, Adrianna tended to a pair of local customers in November 2019. She looked after them while they enjoyed their breakfast, and on top of that, the trio engaged in a friendly conversation. During the chat, Adrianna laid everything out, from her challenging commute to her personal goals. You don't hear tales like hers too often. Once that was done, the female customer then ordered some extra ice cream with her partner before leaving the restaurant. Sounds fairly normal, right? But all wasn't as it seemed. After bidding goodbye to the man and woman, Adrianna continued on with her shift like always, serving the other customers. The hours passed and home time appeared to be beckoning without incident. Yet everything changed at that stage. You see, the aforementioned pair then returned to Denny's with something up their sleeves. Nope, the couple didn't go back to tuck into a second meal. They wanted to see Adrianna. We can't help but wonder what was going through her head at that point. Had she done something wrong? Were they there to complain? Well, the server got her answer when the lady slipped an object into her hands. It was a car key. Yes, upon hearing about Adrianna's situation, the Parrot traveled straight to the classic Galveston Auto Group to buy her a vehicle. Wow, that's an absolutely incredible gesture. They picked out a white Nissan Sentra from 2011 at the dealership, hoping that would ease her commute. The man and woman didn't want anything in return either. We'd be speechless if something like that happened to us. But Adrianna wasn't sure what to think at first. In fact, the Galveston resident suspected this might have been part of a ruse. After all, most people don't go buying around cars for strangers. Adrianna reflected on her initial skepticism while speaking to ABC 13. She revealed, "In my head I was like, pranks are cool and everything, but this one's just a tad bit cruel." When it became clear that this wasn't a joke though, her emotions started to pour out pretty quickly. Looking back on that day, the lady who bought the car spoke to the KTRK news channel. Neither she nor her partner wanted to be named by the press. She recalled, "Adrianna teared up, which made me happy that she was moved by her gesture. We can feel a few tears building up ourselves." In the short term, Adrianna's long-suffering feet and legs could finally be put to rest. The 4-hour commute was now a thing of the past as her car would slash it down to roughly 30 minutes. It's really eye-opening when you think about it like that, right? Then there are the knock-on effects to consider. As we touched on earlier, Adrianna's 2 main goals were to buy a vehicle and focus on funding her education. With the first aim scratched off, she could zone in on the ladder much sooner than expected. Plus, the waitress had more cash than anticipated, given that the car didn't cost her anything. We can only imagine how excited Adrianna must have been at that point. Her drive to continue on at Denny's had certainly paid off. Yet due to how quickly all of this happened, she couldn't shake the feeling it wasn't actually real, and it prompted the restaurant workers to develop a curious habit. Adrianna went into more detail on that front during her chat with ABC 13 in November 2019. "I still feel like I'm dreaming," she admitted. "Every 2 hours I come to look out my window and see if there's still a car there." Despite her doubts there, the vehicle wasn't going anywhere. As for the duo behind this incredible act of kindness, the lady shared a final point from their end. While they didn't expect any money or favors from Adrianna in return for the car, they did throw a final request her way. It was included in a written message, as we're about to discover. The unnamed lady recalled, "I gave Adrianna a note that said, 'I know it's Thanksgiving, but Merry Christmas,' and that hopefully someday she'll just pay it forward.' A reasonable request, wouldn't you agree?" So how did Adrianna respond to that letter? Well, she was more than receptive to the idea. Adrianna told ABC 13, "When I see somebody in need, I'll probably be more likely to help them out and do everything that I can to help them out." She reiterated that while talking to KTRK too. The Denny's worker said, "I just hope that one day when I'm financially stable enough, I can help somebody else in need." Could there be a car in someone else's future? Never say never. Anyway, this story really did capture plenty of attention when it broke. Outlets such as People magazine covered the tale, while CBS DFW's YouTube channel shared a news clip about it. The video since earned well over 95,000 views. In addition to that, the clip also generated lots of comments from online users, with one in particular standing out. It read, "In a day and age when you read about so much hatred, this was a nice change. It's a great story of goodwill. And it all stemmed from an innocent conversation. What an extraordinary chain of events." If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.